I just want to get the elephant out of the room. Attack percentage does not outperform elemental damage bonuses, especially on a lot of DPS characters. But if that's the case, why am I still using attack percentage? In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you why. I do it for my personal account. If you want to do it for yours as well, go feel free. I'll give you my thought and rationale as to why I'm choosing this unorthodox build in a little bit as well. But first things first, I think a lot of us, for example, when we are heading into Trailblaze level 50 and 60, the first thing we'll realize is we have so many different characters to build and so much resources to consume as well. For example, you can see here, I actually spent a lot of time building up my characters on my account, a wide enough roster, a wide enough bench as well. Some of you might be maybe still stuck on, for example, the first 6 characters or maybe just the first 8 characters, and you definitely feel like your account is struggling. One thing to note, of course, some of you have super stacked like Zealers as well as Jingyuans, but as you can see here, mine is quite modest, a very nice 70% crit rate, 74% crit damage. Some of you are showing me like 200% crit damage, 70% crit rate ratios already, and your Jingyuan is also like super strong in terms of the damage multipliers that I'm seeing on your accounts. I don't have those kind of stats. I have actually quite modest amounts of stats, and I think the reason why is I focus on efficiency more so than getting the perfect stats early on. I'm sacrificing a bit of stars in terms of the Memory of Chaos. In the most recent run, I only cleared like 20 plus, I think, and currently the thing just reset. So I think now my Memory of Chaos, I just cleared up to 5. Just did a video as well, put it out on the channel. You guys can take a look if you want a guide on how to clear the first 5 floors. I'll do the next 5 like in a little bit once I have a bit more time, maybe over the weekend as well, and make another guide for you guys. But I think the most important thing to consider is the efficiency graph, and it ties in very nicely. If you guys have been following the channel, I've actually been talking about like the most efficient places to farm where you get a lot of resource. At 50 to 60, it's going to be a lot of EXP materials. Trace materials are also pretty decent to farm, and character essential materials are super strong. Relics, for those of you who don't know, actually still get even more stronger in terms of the efficiency as we go along. I think at Trailblaze level 50 is like 50% to get 2, at Trailblaze level 60 is like guaranteed 2, and I do think like 65 and beyond is a chance of dropping 3. So for me, I'm staying away from relics for now, and instead I'm focusing more on building my account in terms of getting the resources that I can, so I can build more characters. I'm super efficient because every energy I put out, I'm getting more than a player who's like focusing on other priorities as well. Is that right or wrong? I do lose a bit of stars because I don't have a super strong characters that can one-shot everything in my Memory of Chaos runs. I think that there is a slight downside. I might lose a few like premium gems as well, but I think that in terms of overall account efficiency, when we look at two players of the same Trailblaze level, currently I'm around like Trailblaze level 62 right now. A lot of people won't have this bench depth that I have. Is when I go into Memory of Chaos, I can easily bring a Wind character because he's the only strong enough Wind DPS to, for example, one-shot Balrog's arm. And if I needed a physical damage breaker because I don't have Clara on my account, I can easily switch to Susang on the account as well to immediately break off like physical damage very, very quickly. And this is where the strategy of attack percentage actually comes into handy, because as you can see here, I just show you my main stats for my Danheng. These are of course flat stats. I'm running a crit rate generic stat, speed stat, attack percentage as well as attack percentage, and all I need to do really is just click this button, remove all, go to Susang recommended gear and slap it on, and I'll just switch this because it doesn't want to allow me to use recommended attack percentage for some reason, and I'll just switch this both to this attack percentage one. And more or less, my Susang is good to go to the Memory of Chaos as my secondary damage dealer, my specialist that is focused on break. Your main DPS, for example, in my account, will be like Zealer as well as Jingyuan. These two are the ones that are responsible for doing damage in the team, and they are the ones that are going to be dishing out majority of damage. The secondary damage dealer, for example, maybe a secondary erudition character like Serval, or like for example Pella, these characters would be definitely more specialized in terms of breaking the enemy or contributing outside of their normal role as well. I can also remove the gear from Susang, slap it on Pella as well, and she will be able to do good amounts of sub DPS potential. This allows me to run a very solid single main DPS, form 2 defender-like units like Natasha, Fire MC. For example, you have March 7, Japad, Bailu in the last 4 sections, and your offensive secondary slot can be very, very flexible. It really gives me a lot of options. I can even bring Ireland, I can bring in Qingque if I really wanted to, and even Hook And for example, Herta, if I feel like I need the additional element damage in terms of that particular secondary DPS. And that is really why I choose to run attack percentage rather than like focusing a lot. Of course, my main 2 DPS are running lightning and quantum here, but all my secondary, my second slot DPS, I can just run attack percentage on any one of them, and it allows me to bring them in, take them out fluidly whenever I want to, and the floor requires it as well. This means that I'm actually allowing my account to farm the most efficient slots. For example, right now, as of Trailblaze level 60, it's very efficient for me to farm trace materials, character essential materials, and still also the EXP materials, allowing me to capitalize on efficiency and also doubling down on that while not being handicapped in the memory of chaos in terms of like the changing requirements of elements. And since we're on the topic of efficiency, one other unorthodox thing that I do is I don't actually take all of the gear that I have to plus 15 as well. For me, farming relics is mainly a end game kind of thing. I just get by with whatever I have, especially with non-core, like non-damaging units like Natasha. Of course, my main damage dealers here, as you can see, Zila is relatively well built with a lot of them plus 15 already. Jingyuan also, a lot of them are like plus 12 and beyond. But my Natasha here, as you can see, very underbuilt. A lot of them are plus 9 still. Outgoing healing, as you can see, I focus on this the most, and I'm only just running a 2-piece outgoing healing bonus set. Other characters that I use a lot of, for example, like Tingyun here, I'm hardly even running any secondary set as well. It just doesn't really need to, and you don't really have to pump in so much resources on like non-contributing characters to your overall damage. I know she does scale with attack percentage, but the resource in the drought that we are in and that I am having on my account as well, I think it's much better spent elsewhere. Even my S-star here also, as you can see, some of them are still plus 0. I'm mainly focusing on set bonuses if I can here, and also maybe a little bit of attack bonus, but a lot of the 4-piece set bonus here tends to be a little bit more damaging in nature, which your secondary units, for example like Natasha, your supportive units like maybe S-star, and to some extent maybe your other units, for example maybe your defender units, might not require your perfect sets and perfect everything just yet. You want to focus more in terms of versatility, having more options to bring into the arena. There are some core characters that I built, like my main 2 damage dealers here, like for example Zila, Jingyuan. I invest in the tracers as well. I bring in my defenders are quite well built over here. I have my 2 tanks very well built, and these 4 are like the non-compromisables in my account. The rest of them just come in and out of my account whenever I need them to as well. Take what you can to your account as well in terms of helping you improve your overall efficiency. There are many ways to increase your efficiency, and I hope this quick sharing in terms of what I do with my own account has helped you out in some way as well. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do and you should do it, but I think that some things like these unorthodox things that we will never consider, and consider it like being totally like all 4-piece set bonuses, which is slightly inefficient in a sense, especially when there's a better time to do a better thing, and I'm doing it with my account as well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like such content, do click on these 2 other videos I have for you already on the channel, and see you in the next video.